Hello and welcome back to Third Degree Food. I am Sam Caterer and yes, that is my real name. This is the Third Degree Kitchen and we are in the midst of late autumn, early winter, which means only one thing. We are in full on roast mode and today I'm going to be showing you how to cook the most incredible sage and cider infused pork with the perfect crackling. This recipe works each and every time. It took me a long time to master crackling, but this is where you want to be if you follow my steps. That's going to be beautifully accompanied with some incredible leeks in cheese sauce. We've got some roast potatoes, some Maris Pipers here, which are going to go on. We've got some echelon shallots, we've got some purple sprouting broccoli, and we've got my signature honey roasted butter and thyme carrots. If you watch my chicken video, which is in the link down below, you will see that absolutely divine and a must for every single roast you do. They're absolutely fantastic, blows you away. So let's get on with it, shall we? The first thing you need to do in this process is to take your pork out the fridge half an hour before you start cooking. We've got a lovely joint of pork loin here with a lovely crackling top on it. It's already been pre-scored, but we're going to open that up and we're going to dry this off first and foremost with a bit of kitchen towel. This is a very important step. First thing you do, dry off your pork skin. This will ensure that you have a really nice crackling top. We're going to add some salt to that. We're going to season the pork as well. So whilst this is out the fridge, becoming room temperature, just put your fingers in the gaps. Just get all that moisture off the top of the pork. That will happen nicely over a bit of time. So just leave that on there. We're going to go over to the hob now. We're going to start making our sage and cider and butter infusion. We're going to use our syringe to inject our pork once it's made. But first and foremost, we need to prepare the infusion, and we're going to use some organic butter, some lovely fresh sage, and some organic cider. So let's go over to the hob. First of all, we open our cider, of course. It is Sunday after all. Get the heat going in a small pan. You know, pour about half a pint, quarter pint, there or thereabouts, because it's going to reduce really nicely and become a really nice sticky cidery liquid. Just move that around, start it in the pan. That's exactly where you want to be. Now we're going to add some butter to that. Let that melt into the cider. This is the perfect infusion for your pork. Trust me, it's been tried and tested for many, many dinners. It's always a crowd pleaser. And just adds a nice bit of moisture into your pork as well. Now that's all incorporated, we're going to drop in our sage. This is going to flavour our elixir beautifully. Be quite generous with your sage because you want a lot of flavour coming through. And we'll just leave that 50% heat reducing rather nicely. You can smash up your sage leaves as well, just to release some of those oils. The reason why we're not cutting up our sage is because we're going to use a syringe and we don't want to block the syringe with the sage leaves. But banging it will release a lot of the flavour into this cider and butter mix. Okay, so we'll just turn that down, leave that reducing, and we'll go back to our pork. So like I was saying, you need to dry off the top of this pork. You need to get in there in all these little nooks and crannies on the top. Run your kitchen towel in all the gaps because we're going to cover it with salt and let it sit there and season the pork for a little while and draw the moisture out. This is a two-stage process, so I think we're pretty much good on that front here. You can score it again with a razor blade to get even more cracks in the top of your pork, but this is pretty much good to go from a butcher. Just rub the tissue in all the gaps. You want it as dry as you possibly can before you apply your first layer of salt. And before we do that, I'm going to season the rest of the pork. So we're going with a bit of pepper. It's a lovely joint. We don't need to put any salt on the actual meat itself. It's going to be quite a salty lunch. Get a few sprigs of thyme, and we'll just apply these around onto the face of the meat, just all over, like so. Let's turn it the other way. And we are good there. Just dab that off once more. I'm just going to grab some salt. We use this iodized salt, which is actually quite healthy, so you can be quite liberal with it. Just across the top. Then we're going to rub this into the nooks and crannies on top of this pork, just to draw the moisture out, and then we're going to take it all off. So don't worry, it's not going to be overly, killer salty. Give us a little like and subscribe if you would. Smash that notification bell for all future videos. There is so much coming up. We've got so many recipes to put your way. Family secrets, all little tips and tricks how to make your dinners very simple but absolutely delicious. So we've rubbed our salt into the top of our pork there. I'm just going to go back over to the hob to check our sage and butter infusion with our cider. Smells absolutely wonderful. That will do for now. This is how quick it is. So there we go. And we're going to drop this sage in the pan when it's roasting as well, just under the pork. So we'll hold that to one side. I've got a little coffee cup here because there's only a little bit of elixir in here. And we're going to pour it in. That can go there nicely. We'll just leave that to one side. If you notice as well, I'm not seasoning the pork in the roasting tin because it's a two-stage process. If I put too much salt on the top of the pork and it goes in the roasting tin, it's going to make our potatoes quite salty, which we don't want at all. So we'll just let this sit here for another 20 minutes or so, and then we'll wipe the top once more. So, whilst our pork is just chilling here and allowing the moisture to come out through the crackling or fat cap, whatever you want to call it, we're going to dab that off in a little bit whilst the salt does its work. We're going to make our leeks in cheese sauce. Now you're going to need quite a bit of cheese. I'm just going to grate that just nicely. I'm going to add this to the sauce once it's up to its levels of heat. Probably about 150, 200 grams of cheese. You can use any cheese. We like cheddar here. You can add your old bits of Parmesan if you wish as well. We'll just grate that through here now. And we'll start working on our sauce. That's about right, it's perfect. Okay. So we're going to take this over to the hob. I'm going to start warming our milk on the hob, and then we're going to add some corn flour to it because it's a little cheat way of making your roux. And then we'll come back and we'll prepare our leeks. So in we go with about 3/4 of a pint of milk, like so. Add a bay leaf, and then to the remaining milk we add a good tablespoon of corn flour. And then we mix the corn flour in with the milk that's left in the jug. This speeds up your roux and your cheese sauce making no end. So we've incorporated the corn flour in with the milk there. We start moving the milk around the pan. Don't want to cook it too fast. Bring it nicely to the boil slowly. And whilst that's coming up, we're going to add some pepper. Because you want as much flavour as you can get. And then we're going to go and prepare our leeks. So we've got two beautiful large organic leeks. These cook down into nothing. They're absolutely fantastic. They smell phenomenal. Nice and fresh as well. So we just take the bottom off, dash that over there, and we're going to cut it into about 1/4 centimetre, 1/2 centimetre rings, just like so. And we're going to fry these lightly in butter with some bay leaves, bit of salt, bit of pepper. These have been washed as well. And they cook down to nothing pretty much, so they might look large, but they're reducing is pretty impressive. So you can fit quite a few in a small dish. So these are absolutely delicious as well. You can, if you're doing lamb, you can add some garlic to it. But with pork, I like to keep my flavours fairly just straight. So we've got our leeks, we've got our frying pan. We're going to go in here with these. That's right, I didn't want that one anyway. And we'll move over to the hob, add a good knob of butter and get these warming like so. Grab a spoon, just move that around so we can get the butter in the pan. These will reduce to absolutely nothing. So our milk is coming up now. That's exactly where we want it. Not boiling, just warmed all the way through. And we're going to add that to our corn flour. And milk mix, give it a little stir. And then return it to the pan. Like so, keep it moving. Back on the heat. And that will thicken really nicely to form the base of our cheese sauce. Just start moving our leeks around as well. You can do this simultaneously. You'll fry them off. I'll get some seasoning. I'll get a bit of salt and a bit of pepper. Again with some bay, 2 bay leaves. And a decent pinch of Portuguese sea salt. Back to our milk, keep it moving. You can see it starting to thicken now, much more viscous. And it's nearly time to add our cheese. We'll just keep moving these leeks as well. So simple, just chopping and a few seasonings. And this will be an incredible accompaniment for our pork. So sprinkle. See it start to go nice and glossy. Back to our sauce. It is now time to add our cheese. So in we go with our cheddar, all of it in there. Like I say, you can use any cheese you like, red Leicester, cheddar, Parmesan, you name it, you can use it. And it's also good for a bechamel as well if you are making lasagna and the like. It's the same recipe, just using mozzarella. Very versatile, very quick, and you haven't got to stand there for ages stirring in flour to butter and adding milk little by little. This is your perfect cheese sauce. And we'll turn it off and let that sit there until our leeks are ready now. Whilst our leeks are reducing, it is now time to start putting our oven onto the temperature we're going to cook our pork at. Now, you want to go in quite high, and we're talking as high as possibly your oven can go. I mean, 240, 250 is where you want to be. We're going to put the pork in the oven once we've dried off the top and added a little bit more salt. We're going to put the pork in the oven at 240 degrees for 25 minutes. And we're going to apply a little bit of oil on the top, you pour the vegetable oil on your fingers and just rub it like a tiny bit, but it makes all the difference. And then you add your salt. Then you put it into the oven at 240 for 25 minutes. That will create your incredible crackling. Then we're going to add our potatoes and turn it down to about 200 there or thereabouts. So, I'm going to turn the oven on and get that warming through, 240 degrees. And then we get some more kitchen roll. And now we're going to take the moisture off the top of this pork. I mean, you can see now, here, how much moisture that salt has drawn. You see? And this is important because you want dry skin in order to make the best crackling. So as before, get your finger in the tissue, get right in these little grooves, dry that all up, get rid of that excess salt, like so. You don't want it too salty, but you want it salty enough. It's a fine line, flavour and all that. So, and also when you open these up, it also allows a better cooking surface, so you do get your better crackling from doing this process as well. So you want to get right in there with your fingers. You want to spread these leaves of pigskin open. Trust me, this will give you the best crackling. Nice and open, fan it out like so. I'll put this over. We'll give the leeks a little toss. You can see how much they've reduced already. I'll break this down. And turn them down just so they can just reduce beautifully that way. Okay, now we're going to put our pork into our roasting tin. But before we do, we're going to add some more salt. And we get some of the Portuguese sea salt as well. And there's a lot of fat content in the pork, so we're not going to add any fat to the pan just yet for the potatoes. We're going to see how much it leaches. Get the pork salt right in there. Nice. A little bit more in these places here. A little bit of vegetable oil as well. Just over the top. That's just going to help with the cooking. A little bit more salt as well. Get all this other stuff. Rub that into the pork, into the skin. Okay, we're good, I think. Now we need to infuse our pork with our sage and butter and cider mix. So we take our pork, move the salt out of the way. Get all the seasoning. Place it on its side, on one side. And we take our syringe, like so. And we extract this incredible cider butter elixir. You can see how much we have. And we put it directly into the pork. And it will just shoot out like that. Do it a couple of times. In. It makes for a very, very nice, moist roast. Pat that down, close that. And again on this side, the meat will shrink back as well, so you're not going to lose any. And if you do, it all goes in the pan for extra flavour for the potatoes. That's exactly what you want. Get the last of this gear in here. Just stab your pork. That's exactly what you want. Lively, nice and lively. So we'll put the herbs in the pan as well. Put this over by the sink. And we will grab our sage that we made our infusion with and pop it just underneath the pork like so. You can get some really, really, really nice aromas coming off that as well whilst it's in the oven. So we'll just pop this to one side for one moment. These have reduced marvellously. And there we have it. So the leeks are done. They're ready to go into our dish. So I'll bring these over here. And now we can assemble our leeks in cheese sauce. So grab an appropriate bowl, glass dish, what have you, for the oven. And we're going to tip our leeks into this dish. Should have done that way. Flatten them out a little bit. It doesn't matter too much because we're going to emaciate them with our delicious cheese sauce. Okay, so we'll just move that out of the way. Fabulous. So we'll take a couple of good old spoonfuls of that, and then we mix it around with our leeks. Like so, so you get a good covering all the way through the leeks of this cheese sauce. You've got some saved back for the topping, so you want it to look nice and presentable as well and get that nice gratinated top. I think we're good there. And we go for the final pour. Ribbons of cheesy sauce. As they say in France, incroyable. Last that cheese sauce in there. And then you get the back of your spoon and just push it to the edges so you get a nice airtight seal for the leeks. We'll grab some black pepper. And that will do us. You can add some paprika if you want, but I want to keep the other flavours fairly low in this because the pork is going to do all the work for the lunch. So we'll just pop this to one side. This is going to go in the last 20 minutes of cooking of the pork. So once we turn the pork down from 240 to 200, we're going to put in our potatoes, give them 10 minutes, give them a turn, and shove these in the oven along with our carrots. Our oven is now fully up to temperature. It's just beeped at 240 degrees. So we're going to put our pork in on a high shelf for about 25 minutes, and we'll get that beautiful crackling coming across the top. Maybe just a little bit more salt on the top of our pork, yeah, there we go, nice. So we're going to put this in for 25 minutes at 240 degrees. This is quite important. So whilst our pork is in the oven, we now need to prepare our carrots and then parboil our potatoes. We're going to start with our carrots first. We're going to do batons today because these carrots are slightly larger than my first recipe. I just cut the other carrots in half. but this is going to need batons because they're quite large carrots. You don't want to take them too small because they're going to cook for a while in the oven. Something like that. Okay. So just nice and uniform. And they're going to sit on the side alongside our leeks until they're ready to go in. Maybe make those into 3. You want them to be a fairly uniform size so they cook all equally, you know, there or thereabouts. So I'm going to plonk some butter in there, I'm going to plonk some thyme in there, and they're going to sit in this dish very nicely indeed. So let's plonk these in here. And they'll roast rather well in there. Okay, we're going to go in with some thyme. You want not too much, but enough to really punch through. You can leave the sticks on if you wish, but you know, I strip them, whatever you want to do. It's all flavour at the end of the day. Smells fantastic. And I'll just get some butter. You need quite a lot of butter. Like I said before, you're going to need to really pretty much confit your carrots. So when I say a lot, I'm saying about 100 grams. There we go. And that can just sit on the side with our leeks until they're ready to go into the oven in about 25 minutes. Now that our pork is in the oven doing its first stint at 240 degrees for 25 minutes, it is now time for us to parboil our delicious Maris Piper potatoes. Parboiling cooks the potatoes from the middle out, so you know, they're pretty much cooked when you put them into the oven. I mean, you don't want to overcook them. 5 minutes, 6 minutes is where you want to be with these. But these are definitely the best all-rounder potatoes, and I think they've got the best flavour for Sunday roast. You can use, you know, King Edward's, Desiree, whatever you want to use, plain white potatoes. But if you've got a choice, Maris Piper's where you want to be because they're just consistent all the way. I've cut them quite large because on a nice fluffy edge on them, I'm going to shake them after I parboil them just so they can absorb some of that beautiful, delicious pork elixir. So without further ado, we're going to pop these into a saucepan. Just like so. Grab our lid and we're going to cover them with water and take them to the hob. Get them going and add a liberal amount of salt into the water. Our potatoes are now parboiled. It's time to take them off. Pour the water into a jug because we're going to save the water for our delicious gravy. Which I'll be showing you very shortly. Very simple, meat juices, flour, water, and then we're going to put it in the pan with the rest of the pork juices as well. So we'll grab our parboiled potatoes. We'll pour off the liquid. And then we're going to give them a really good shake. The reason why we do this, it creates a beautiful fluffy outside for the potatoes so they can absorb all that lovely pork juice. One last little shake and we'll leave them on the side until the pork is ready to be turned down without the lid on. Do not leave the lid on your potatoes because they'll taste a bit funny. So just put them over to the side. So as you can hear, our pork has done its first 25-minute stint. It's time to take it out and add our delicious echelon shallots, our fantastic Maris Piper potatoes, and also put into the oven our carrots and our leeks as well. So let's get the pork out the oven and have a look at this crackling. See how it's coming along. I think it's going to be pretty good. Wow, already. Crikey. Look at that, absolutely fantastic crackling already. So we want to swill our oil that's come out of the pork around the pan. Absolutely fantastic. Let's have a listen. Yeah, it's there. It's absolutely fantastic. So we're chucking our onions, shallots, and our potatoes as well. And we're going to give them a nice little turn. Using our tongs. Have a glove. Upturn it so you get all the oil on your potatoes. Like so, all that meat juice is all good. So move them out of the way. Just give them a nice turn in the oil that's come out of the pork. Fragrant as you like, incredible. Highly recommend this in your Sunday roster. Like so. And always for the first part, keep your potatoes flat side up, otherwise they will stick to the bottom of the pan. Move our onions around, our shallots, echelons. And now I'm going to put in a probe because you need to have your pork knocking around the 70 degree mark. I mean, 65, 70 degree is where you really want your pork. I'm going to stick it in this side because that's the bigger side. I'll just show you that. You just go in with your probe if your oven's got a probe. Not quite there. Okay, there we go. And we're going to put this back in the oven for about half an hour there or thereabouts. I'd imagine it will take till it can reach up to 70 degrees in the oven. So our delicious pork is at 37 degrees now. So it's got about half an hour there or thereabouts until it needs to come out and rest for about 10 minutes or so, and then we'll get our purple sprouting broccoli and delicious organic peas on the go. But until then, I'll see you shortly. Okay, so our pork is ready. We are action stations. It needs to come out of the oven and rest for 15 minutes there or thereabouts. We're going to take the crackling off the top as well, and then we're going to take our carrots and add a generous lathering of honey. And then whilst that's all happening, we're going to steam our vegetables and prepare our delicious gravy. So let's get our queen crown pork out the oven. There we go. Have a look at that. That's exactly what you want. Okay. First and foremost, we'll get our potatoes back into the oven because they need another 10 minutes or so. They look absolutely incredible. Beautifully glazed in that pork juice. Take our onions as well. Okay. Now we need to take our potatoes, put them back in the oven. They're going to crisp up beautifully. Now we'll take our pork and transfer it from the pan, because we're going to use this pan to make the gravy, over to the foil. Give that a quick 90 degree, and that's too hot to touch. So just put out the probe, dump that in the sink. Now we're going to have to take this delicious bit of crackling off the top so it doesn't go soft. Grab a knife and we'll just put that underneath, find a way through and tease this delicious crackling. Oh, it is a sharp knife as well. That string is definitely holding it together. And we just run the knife along the back of the pork loin and reveal our incredible, delicious crackling. Okay, there we have it. A little bit left on the side, that's definitely for me. Oh my word, you don't get better than that. That's absolutely outstanding. Cut through the strings and take our crackling, just put it on the side for now. And we're going to wrap our pork and leave it there for 15 minutes just so it can rest and make the meat very, very soft and tender. So we'll leave that on the board for 15 minutes along with the crackling. Not sure there'll be too much left by the time it gets to the plate, because that is incredible gear. I am going to go in for some of that. Wow. Crackling are us. Right, let's get our carrots. These are beautifully confying. You see that butter bubbling away. We're going to apply our honey. Generously, do not be shy. Give them a little turn. Incorporate all of that honey and the butter. They're lovely and soft. They've literally just been boiling in butter. That's where it is, with some thyme. Oh wow, they smell divine. Okay, back to the oven for about 15 minutes or so. Put them on the top shelf. And now we're going to prepare our vegetables to steam and get our gravy ready. Our vegetable water has just come to the boil. We're going to add our broccoli and then the peas on top, because they're small and they will cook quicker. We'll just get that going on this nicely. Time them for about 6 minutes or so. And whilst they're steaming, I'm going to grab the roasting tin, take it over to the hob, and start this warming very lightly. Now, as per my chicken video, I've made the same gravy using meat juices from rendered bacon and beef as well, and I've added some flour. So you use 1 tablespoon of meat juice, 1.5 tablespoons of flour, add a little bit of the vegetable water. I'm going to pour this in just nicely, and we'll grab a small whisk and start mixing all these caramelized meat juices in with our mixture. Then we're going to nick some of the vegetable water whilst the vegetables are steaming. Let's get all that porky goodness in there. Look at the colour of that, that's absolutely fantastic. Also helps deglaze your pan as well. Speaking of which, the residual butter, cider and sage that we have left over, all in the pan as well. It's all good flavour. I'm going to cook that flour through. I'll turn it around a bit. Maybe 2 ladles. Let it warm through and then incorporate that into the flour. We will have a delicious gravy. It's coming together fantastically. Look at this. That's our vegetables pretty much ready. Incorporating lovely, look at that. I'll just check the broccoli, make sure it's cooked. Yep, pretty much. So we can leave that on the side because we're going to prepare the rest of the dinner. Now we can go with some more of our potato water into our gravy. Maybe switch that around as well. Put it over one nice flame. Bring it through and start deglazing the pan properly. The colour of that delicious gravy, all those meat juices, that is exactly what you want. Cider coming through as well, you can smell that. And the butter from the infusion has given it a lovely gloss. Let's turn that down, let that infuse for a while. Let's sit there and do its thing. So we'll grab our fork, come back to the pork, good stab in there. And then now we're going to carve our pork. We'll take off this twining. It's the sage just under there, just doing its business as well. Absolutely divine. Just pop that in the bin. Grab our carving knife and away we go. Delicious pork. Look at that. Absolutely perfect. "67 degrees I took this to. There we have it. Just leave that. Move that twine as well. Maybe one more slice. Always come back to it for a pork sandwich. Fantastic. So let's arrange our board. Absolutely divine. Look at that. We'll get the stuff out the oven. First of all, we take our carrots. These are absolutely divine. We can leave these just on the side here and bubbling away. Absolutely amazing. We'll arrange the board properly very shortly and then we'll plate up. Then we get our potatoes and our warm through crackling. These are absolutely incredible. Look at those. Look at that. And then we go for our leeks in cheese sauce next, which has gratined perfectly. Look at that, that is amazing. And they smell absolutely divine as well. So, we need to arrange our board. We're going to go in, move the crackling out of the way just for now. Our potatoes. This is beautifully caramelised underneath from the pork juices. Lovely and crispy. Look at that. Absolutely, it's like a sheet of glass. Okay, we go with our onions. Just over the top. They're lovely and soft. Beautiful. They smell divine as well. Last little one over there. These are nice. Oh, these are delicious, these carrots. I can't tell you how good they are. Pop that in the sink. As with these. And we arrange our carrots just liberally over the roast. Nice. Fabulous carrots. The sage is really coming through the pork as well. Have a word, will you? Look at that, that's amazing. And then we'll get our vegetables, we'll get our purple sprouting. And just apply these over the top. These are amazing. So much iron in there. Very, 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 very good for you. Divine. We have got some organic peas as well, which I'm going to put into a little bowl, just on the side, and then we're going to give these a little kiss with this delicious honey and thyme butter, just over the top. Obviously we've got gravy as well, so we don't want to spoil that. That is exactly what you want on your Sunday. Let's plate it up. So let's get into it. Apply our gravy just nice and liberally over the top of the meat. On the potatoes, a little bit here and there. And then we get into the meat. Let's have a little look at this, shall we? Oh my God, so succulent. Mmm. Mmm. That is the best pork I've ever eaten. I've got to say, I've spent a while trying to perfect this recipe. That is outrageous. Mmm. That pork is divine. Mmm. And the gravy just carries all the juices through it. Mm. The sage, the cider coming through the pork is something you need to do. You can buy this gadget, the syringe from Amazon. Very much worth it. It's it just puts so much flavour into your food. I'm going to try these carrots now. Oh my word. These are still off the chain. Remember, all the recipes are available from thirddegreefood.com. Obviously you need to watch the video to understand how to execute it, but these are absolutely incredible. Let's try the echelon shallot. And most importantly, let's not forget the crackling. Let's have a listen. I'd say that's pretty much there, wouldn't you? Let's get into potatoes. Now I've got one covered in gravy, but I want to give it a go on this one. Oh, they're lovely and crispy. And fluffy as well. Look at that, that's absolutely beautiful. That's exactly how you want your potatoes. Mm. Mm. And now, for the topping of the dessert, we have our leeks and cheese sauce. Now these are pretty special. The recipe is obviously attached down below. Beautiful, creamy, cheesy leeks. They complement the pork in a perfect way. Absolutely divine. Anyway, I'm going to go enjoy this with the rest of that cider. Gravy is just amazing. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Sam Caterer. This has been Third Degree Food. And you've been watching how to make sage and butter and cider infused pork with incredible crackling, roast potatoes, honey roasted, butter confit, thyme, carrots, and leeks and cheese sauce. I'll catch you next time. Enjoy.